Izmir go Turkey, the beauty of the Aegean. Hello, welcome to our channel. We are with you with a new video. We would be happy if you subscribe to our channel and share. Beautiful Izmir draws you into a world of picturesque modernity and traditions, with its refreshing touches to human souls. Izmir hypnotizes visitors in an aura of history and modernity. Izmir, ancient Smyrna, is located at a point where the Anatolian Peninsula extends into the Aegean Sea. Izmir is one of the oldest cities with continuous settlement for 8,500 years. Yesilova and nearby Yasi Tepe mounds are the oldest Neolithic settlements where idols and symbols of the Mother Goddess have been found. One of the founding legends of Izmir states that the city was founded by the legendary Amazon Queen Smyrna. The city dates back to the 3rd millennium BCE, at Cappadocia, modern Barakli, and was one of the most advanced civilizations of its time, along with ancient Troya, Western Anatolia. The ancient historian Herodotus wrote, "They built their city under the loftiest dome of heaven and the best climate in the world." Aristotle told his student Alexander the Great, "You are not complete unless you have seen it." And Victor Hugo describes the city as Izmir is a princess adorning a necklace. Known throughout Turkey as Beautiful Izmir, the city surrounds a large bay adorned by yachts, ships and ferries. As the terminus of the ancient King's Road that runs across Anatolia to Persian Gulf, Izmir remains a focal point of tourism and entertainment. Its streets are shaded by palm trees, the sidewalks are beautiful and the houses elegant. The city's coastline is known for its seafood restaurants along the coast as well as its cafes, restaurants serving Aegean cuisine and other leisure facilities, while the hinterland is rich in ruins and monuments that tell the stories of countless ancient civilizations. Izmir is the sound of the sea and the wind. Thanks to its Mediterranean climate, Izmir is mostly sunny all year round. Summers are hot and winters are mild. With its cities and historical sites such as Bergama, Sezim, Foça, Kemalpaşa, Selçuk, Seferihisar, Karaburun, Tyre and Urla, Izmir plays a very important role in the history not only of Western Turkey but in the entire Aegean. With a total coastline of 629 kilometers, Izmir also promises a life in contact with the sea. In Izmir, you can enjoy the sea by walking in cordon or taking a ferry from Alsancak to Karşıyaka, or you can explore the bluest waters at 49 blue flag beaches. This makes the city a very popular destination for the beaches where you can find every shade of blue and enjoy all kinds of water sports.
See Smyrna. Places to see in Smyrna, Izmir. Ancient Smyrna is located on the mound in Izmir Barakli. It is a small peninsula that was surrounded by the sea to the west and south in ancient times. The Barakli Hoyuk mound, which is about 100 hectares, is a small hill built on a plain. Smyrna extends over a wide area towards the plain above this hill. Smyrna is an ideal example of the archaic period in Western Anatolia, with the wall surrounding the city, houses with several rooms and baths, a sacred building, a public fountain and a geometrical city plan. Open to the sea on the west and south, surrounded by mountains on the north and a plain on the east, Smyrna is the best example of a defensive city excavated in Western Anatolia. The temple uncovered during excavations in Smyrna is the oldest temple of Athena in Turkey. Izmir, including its ancient mounds and settlements, is an open-air museum that exhibits the historical identity of the modern city within easy access for its visitors. Izmir Clock Tower, the symbol of the city, was built in 1901 as the celebration of the 25th anniversary of Ottoman Sultan Abdülhamid's accession to the throne. It is 25 meters high, has 4 levels, and an octagonal plan. The clock tower has column capitals, horseshoe arches unique to North Africa, and the facades of the building are filled with no gaps. It has an architectural inspiration from the buildings of North Africa and Andalusia. The clock was a gift from the German Emperor II. Wilhelm. The green and red mosaics used in the construction of the clock tower, whose construction was undertaken by Raymond Charles Père, a French architect from Izmir, were brought from Ephesus, and the stones that constitute the main body were brought from Saraykoi. Catafalque at Catafalque, Velvet Castle, the ancient Mount Pagos, bears another legend about the foundation of the city attributed to Alexander the Great. According to the legend, Alexander the Great fell asleep under a plane tree while hunting on Mount Pagos. Two nemesis appear in his dream, asking Alexander to build the new city on the slopes of the hill where he slept. Alexander, waking up from his sleep, consults to Apollo at Claros. According to the interpretation of the Orcale, Smyrnians who will settle in the foothills of Pagos Hill near the sacred Meles stream will be 4 times happier than before. Ancient Smyrna was re-established on Mount Pagos in the 4th century BCE, at an altitude of 186 meters above sea level. The north and east walls and 5 towers of the castle, whose east and south walls were completely destroyed, survived. The height of the towers is 20 to 35 meters. Inside the castle, there is a large arched cistern from the Byzantine period and the remains of a mosque. Historical elevator. It is an elevator tower that houses 2 elevators between Mithat Pesa Street and the Nayat Bay Street, which is at a higher altitude. It was built in 1907 to facilitate transportation between the districts due to the 50-meter difference between the streets. The elevator tower has 3 floors. During World War I, the lower floor of the elevator was used as a casino, the middle floor as a photo hall and the upper floor as a cinema. Standing tall for 105 years, the elevator continues to function today as a cafe, bar and restaurant, attracting tourists with its unique view and offering a unique view of Izmir. Kibris Sahitleri Avenue. Kibris Sahitleri Avenue, translated as Cyprus Martyr Street, is considered one of the busiest hubs of downtown Izmir with its colorful shops, cafes and bookstores. It is a pedestrian street located in Alsancak district. In addition to the shops of world-famous brands, there are bars and cafes in the side streets, where many products from ethnic patterned handmade bags to leather shoes, designer hats to souvenirs, clothing and accessories are available. On some of the side streets you can find bookstores and booksellers. After some shopping, you can sit in one of the cafes and read your book while sipping your coffee. Cordon. With a beauty that inspired many songs, Cordon is a must-see place in Izmir. It's one of the symbols of the city, where locals and visitors meet the Aegean Sea, watch the sunset or lay down on the grass and relax during summer and spring. Once famous for its Levantine houses with marble stairs, and its mansions peculiar to Izmir, Cordon still has some architectural attractions where you can find traces of the past. In Cordon, there are numerous luxury restaurants, bars, cafes, and pubs that cater to different needs. Horse carriages near the Cumhuriyet Square are the symbols of this area. Izmir Archaeology Museum. Izmir Archaeology Museum, which was opened in 1927 in Ayabukla, Gazlu, Church to exhibit the works uncovered by archaeological excavations in the city, today welcomes its visitors in its modern building in Barababa Park in Konak. Izmir Archaeology Museum, which is one of the first museums in Turkey, hosts findings from the 8,500-year-long history of Izmir, and it is one of the first museums to visit in the city. The museum, which covers an area of 5.000 meter², hosts artifacts and finds from the excavations in various parts of the city including Barakli, Smyrna, Ephesus, and Bergama. One of the fascinating artifacts in the Izmir Archaeology Museum is the marble Androklos statue dated to Roman times, belonging to the founder of Ephesus, Androklos. Insuralty and Insuralty Naval Museum. Insuralty has long been one of the favorite places for weekend excursions of Izmir residents. The area, with fish restaurants on the beach, flower gardens and large tangerine orchards, has been revived as a large recreation area with the new regulations. Insuralty Naval Museum, one of the few naval museums of Turkey, it's a place for everyone interested in maritime should see. You can discover the history of Turkish maritime in the museum, which started to serve at Insuralty Pier by converting the Aegean, frigate and Piri Reis submarine into a museum after completing their active duties. Izmir Bird Sanctuary. Bird Sanctuary, also known as Kusenity, Bird Paradise, spreads over an area of 8,000 hectares within the Cappadocia salt pans in Sigli. Sanctuary is home to over 270 bird species with endangered crested pelicans, pygmy cormorants, and black storks, is one of the most important wetlands of our country. Cappadocia salt pans and Bird Paradise are a rare blessing for nature lovers and photographers. Salt pans, which is at Gediz Delta, meets an important part of Turkey's salt needs with an annual capacity of 600,000 tons. It is the largest sea saltworks in Turkey. Bird Sanctuary, where 50,000 birds visit annually, is on the migration route of the birds and is also an archaeological site. Bird Sanctuary has a visitor center, bird-watching towers, binoculars and a touring bikes. Ephesus. Foundation of the ancient city of Ephesus within the borders of Selçuk district goes back to 6000 BCE. The biggest temple dedicated to Artemis, the Artemis Ion, of 6th century BCE was built at the skirts of Ayasaluk Hill in front of the earliest harbor of the city. It is based on the ancient mother goddess tradition of Anatolia. The later temple is considered to be one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Since Ephesus has changed places many times throughout its history, its ruins are spread over a wide area. Ephesus and its environs are included in the World Heritage List in 4 components: Kukurisi Hoyuk, Mound, Ayasaluk Hill, Selçuk Castle, St. John's Basilica, Isa Bey Bath, Isa Bey Mosque, Artemis Ion, Ephesus Ancient City and the House of Virgin Mary. Ancient Ephesus has been inhabited continuously for about 9,000 years from the prehistoric period to the Hellenistic, Roman, Eastern Roman, Turkish principalities and Ottoman periods, and has been a very important port city and cultural and commercial center in all stages of its history. St. John's Basilica. The basilica built on the tomb of St. John, who wrote the Gospel of John and is one of the apostles of Jesus, is located on Ayasaluk Hill within the ancient city of Ephesus. It is believed that St. John the Evangelist spent his last years in the region around Ephesus and was buried on the southern slope of Ayasaluk Hill. 300 years after St. John's death, a small chapel was built over the tomb in the 4th century. The Church of St. John was transformed into a miraculous basilica in the region of Emperor Justinian, 527–565 AD. John or the Apostle John was the author of the 4th Gospel and the Book of Revelation. Following the spread of Christianity, the people of Ephesus moved back to Ayasaluk after the 7th century. St. Jean's Basilica replaced the old Episcopal Church in Ephesus. The monumental basilica was shaped like a cross and covered with 6 domes. Its construction of stone and brick is an extremely rare find in the architecture of its time. Raised by 2 steps and covered with marble, the tomb of St. John was located under the central dome, which was once supported by the 4 columns at the corners. The columns in the inner courtyard show the monograms of Emperor Justinian and his wife Theodora. Built in the 5th century AD, the baptistry is located to the north of the nave, with its keyhole shape. The House of Virgin Mary. Virgin Mary House is located on the Bulbul Mountain, 9 kilometers from Selçuk. It is known that John brought Virgin Mary to Ephesus 4 or 6 years after the death of Jesus. In 1891, based on the dream of the German nun Aide Katrina Emmerich, the Lazarist priests discovered that the house where the Virgin Mary spent her last days was at the end of this research. This event is a new invention in the world of Christianity and sheds light on the world of religion. This structure was planned over and then restored. The house is considered sacred by Muslims, the Pope VI. After the visit of Paul in 1967, the rituals are held every year on August 15th, and these rituals attract a lot of attention. And we can list other places to see in Izmir as follows: Sezim Peninsula, Safarahizar, Sagasik, Aliani, Foka, Alicati, Pergamum, Selçuk, Sezim, Ildirai/Ancient Erythrai, Odimus, Burgi and Pitane. Cappadocia go Turkey. The land of beautiful horses and fairy chimneys. A moonscape region carved by the nature and men, Cappadocia is most famous for its unique geological features and layers of history. Cappadocia is the name of the region created by the erosion of the soft layers formed by the lava and ashes sprayed by the volcanic mountains of Erciyes, Hazandag and Guladag, and shaped by rain, wind, and ice for millions of years. As the landscape was eroded, basalt stones remained and formed conical structures, with some reaching as high as 45 m, were created over time by erosion of the relatively soft volcanic ash around them. Past cultures have dug into them to create dwellings, castles, and even entire underground cities, used as hiding places by early inhabitants. The local people referred to these unique rock formations as fairy chimneys, a name that has endured throughout the ages. If nature was the first artist to arrange the decor, it was Anatolian humankind who carved the rock and created Cappadocia as an open-air museum full of unparalleled natural and cultural phenomena. Cappadocia, the land of beautiful horses, as one NTR piratation of the name Cappadocia suggests, is the key to the myriad potential possibilities for exploring and experiencing this fantastic land, from riding to cycling, from exploration to sumptuous cuisine. No matter the season or time of year, this fantasy land has something to stimulate, captivate, and invigorate the senses. Cappadocia is one of those places, allowing you to leave our planet behind without leaving it. Given a chance, these lands will not quit on you. 10 vibes for Cappadocia. Stay in a cave. Cappadocia is a land of natural wonders, and as such there are some unique experiences every traveler should try. One of the most rewarding experiences is staying at one of Cappadocia's world-famous cave hotels. Some of the region's troglodyte dwellings have been turned into luxurious boutique hotels. These hotels offer a real feel of the region's unique architecture, while providing all the modern amenities. Breakfast with the view of fairy chimneys. Cappadocia offers you a stunning view of fairy chimneys, especially at dawn. With the rising sun, it is a pleasure to view the panorama accompanying with such a delicious breakfast. A traditional Turkish breakfast includes variety of olives, cheese, egg, tomato, cucumber, pepper, Turkish sausage, sukuk, jams, honey, butter, cream. After the rich and nourishing breakfast, it is time to discover rural parts of Cappadocia. Conquering the scenery from up above. Hot air balloons. As dawn breaks, you will float in air with great calmness. Rock formations dating back to millions of years, unimaginable landforms unique to this geography lying beneath. Valleys offering majestic sceneries, high altitudes painting a multi-hued topography down below, slopes weaved in velvety texture. The land of fairy chimneys has become the center for hot air ballooning gradually over the past 20 years, and the intoxicating morning cruises have been attracting more and more travelers from all over the world with each passing day. The balloons, which go up to 800 meters high, depart from the trails around Gorim early in the morning. Cappadocian vineyards. It wouldn't be fair if you'd come all this way and return without trying the delicious Cappadocian wines. This region, holding the well-established winemaking tradition for thousands of years, owes its famous vineyards to the tuff formed by the volcanic activities. Anatolian grapes such as Okas Gozu, Kalsik Karasi, Bagaskir, Narins, and Amir grow graciously thanks to the rich tuff soil. It gets better. Cappadocia wineries are open for visitation all year long, making your trip possible at any given moment. Walk along the streets, Avanos, Mustafa Paşa, Ürgüp, Gorim. If you are interested in history, faith, arts, architecture, or different local lifestyles, the streets of Cappadocia will surely attract you. The streets of Avanos full of pottery, silk and carpet ateliers, the streets of Mustafa Paşa or Sinasos with interesting architecture, churches and madrasas together, the streets of Ürgüp with historical mansions, museums, fairy chimneys, even Turkish baths, the streets of Gorim lead you to the world-famous Gorim Open-Air Museum and valleys of love, Guvursinlik, Pigeons, Zini, Pasabag, Guladir, Kilikler and so on. Lunch with local tastes. Cappadocia has a very rich local cuisine. The most famous meals of the region are clay pot kebab and beans. The clay pot kebab is very original. And it is also healthy and delicious with the ingredients of meat and different vegetables. At this kind of cooking, meals are slowly cooked in traditional ovens. Therefore, they have a smoky aroma and more flavor. There are many different tasty meals of Cappadocia: sogan lama with onion, egg, pepper, and tomato, agpakla with white bean, butter, and meat, jondurm with chickpea, wheat and meat, divil with potato and cracked wheat, stuffed apricot and quince with minced meat and different spices. Sweet tooths never disappoint at Nevşehir. They will have a feast with pumpkin dessert, kofter, kind of Turkish delight, contains grape juice of the region, dolaz, flour halva with butter, grape molasses, and so on. Horseback riding. One of the great ways to discover Cappadocia is horseback riding. Being on a horse allows you to closely observe the stunning details around you. There are many daily horseback tours to choose from. There are also multi-day rides around Cappadocia, as well as full moon rides where you can explore this enchanting region at night. You can navigate through valley stretches on footpaths where vehicles cannot enter, around fairy chimneys, and among lush village vineyards by horses. You will get the chance to see the most beautiful valleys of Cappadocia, such as Meskender and Guladir. Hiking/trekking. Cappadocia is also a veritable paradise for nature hikers. Hiking around Cappadocia is a unique experience, offering some of the most surreal scenery in the world. There are several popular trails, including the Valley of Pigeons near Gorim, the Love Valley, the Rose Valley, and the Sword Valley, all of which take a few hours and make you feel like both a time traveler and an adventurer through historic churches, necropolises, beautiful nature, and many more. You can also walk longer trails, such as the 14 km Ilara Valley. Pottery making. Located 18 kilometers from Nevşehir city, Avanos is famous for its tradition of pottery making that has been alive since the times of the Hittites. If you want to give it a try, call in at a workshop and take up your position before the wheel. What happens next is up to the skills of your hands and the vividness of your imagination. Master potters standing nearby will lend you their support and maybe give you a few pointers. When you leave, do not forget to pick up an example or two of the craftsman's work as a memento of your time there. Watch the sunset at Orta Hisar Castle. The best ways to end a day may be watching the sundown at a castle with a gorgeous sight. Orta Hisar is both a castle and a fairy chimney, thus it is a good combination for Cappadocia. Sightseeing during afterglow here is a pleasure itself. You feel the breeze and the calm of the region simultaneously. 48 hours in Cappadocia. Since this land is full of history, adventure, fantastic tastes, and views, it is difficult to choose among them for a specific time at Cappadocia. Nonetheless, if you are ready for a memorable long weekend or a honeymoon, let us help you to decide. In most places, it is advised to start a day with a full breakfast. But if you are in Cappadocia, a place that offers you one of the most fantastic views of the world, we suggest you wake up at dawn and see or board one of the hot air balloons, to view Cappadocia's magical landscape and its famous fairy chimneys in the light of the rising sun. While the sun is rising, you will be mesmerized by the play of the sun rays around the magical surroundings. After this visual show, you can enjoy a delicious Turkish breakfast for a fuel. Then you will be ready to truly discover Cappadocia. Yüksekhisar Castle is the highest point for a panoramic view of Cappadocia, and it is one of the best points for a beginning. This giant natural castle offers you an overview of Gorim, Avanos, Kavyazan, Orta Hisar and Pigeon Valley, which are among the most popular places to visit. The next destination is Gorim Open Air Museum. The museum has been on the UNESCO World Heritage List since 1985, and it is famous for carved churches dating back to the early periods of Christianity. You can see so many remnants of the monasteries, frescoes from the Bible, and be amazed by the fact that some of these are more than 1.600 years old. Do not forget to visit Karanlık and Tokali churches. These are the most famous and well-protected churches of Gorim Open-Air Museum. You can have your lunch at Avanos with many local options. The tasty clay pot kebab, beans, soups, pumpkin dessert, halva, and local wines. We do not have enough space to list all the mouth-watering options here. After the lunch, you can visit a pottery atelier and choose a souvenir for yourself or your loved ones. You can even try to make your own pottery here. Then the Valley of the Monks or Passabaglari deserves a visit. There are many magnificent fairy chimneys here, and some of them include a chapel and reclusory for Saint Simeon. You can follow the path of faith at Zelv, comprised of 3 valleys, is an important settlement of 9th and 13th centuries early Christianity period. There are also famous churches of Uzumlu and Balikli here. More fairy chimneys wait for you at Devrent Valley. These ones resemble animal figures and will give you a visual feast with the sun rays. Your first day is slowly coming to an end. Breathless by the atmosphere and new experiences, now you are ready for the sunset view, dinner, and rest at your hotel. Your next day will be wonderful too. Your second day route is starting at Urgup. The most famous fairy chimneys are here and named as the 3 beauties. Named as Oceana or Asiana at Byzantine period and Bashizar at Seljuks and Burger Castle at Ottomans, Urgup is an important center of Cappadocia. At Urgup, you can see Orta Hisar Castle that is a giant fairy chimney itself, beyond being a castle. The settlement has a long history here, dating back to the BC 1500 Hittites. Still, there are so many traditional architectures around the castle that will send you on a vantage through time. Mustafa Paşa village is a good point to see this kind of architecture, and Constantine Eleni Church, Hagia Nicholas Monastery and Bebek Museum. After the lunch, where you will explore flavors and dishes that you missed at yesterday's feast, you are ready to discover the rest of Cappadocia. There are many options. You can visit Red Valley and try trekking or horse riding here. Cappadocia has a very fertile soil that cultivates very delicious pumpkins, grapes, apples, pears, apricots and more. Some of these grapes are used to produce tasty local wines. If you like, you can visit local boutique wine factories and witness the production of the Cappadocia wines. Options are many. What you should not miss: there are the underground cities of Cappadocia. There are almost 300 underground cities here, but since your time has limits, Kaymakli and Derinkuyu are good options. The first settlers and constructors of the underground cities are unknown, they have such a long history. There are rumors on their reasons for construction: epidemics, harsh climate conditions, military transfers, hiding place for early Christians, so on. But they are magnificent shelters that include barns, storerooms, fermentation rooms, churches, tunnels, kitchens, even graves. Now your fairy tale is coming to an end. It is time to rest and digest the beauty, history, and taste of Cappadocia. Hope to see you again and wish you a safe return with sweet dreams. Konya, the city of the whirling dervishes. There is a saying that almost everybody in Turkey knows: travel the world, see Konya. Konya, located in the central Anatolian region, is the largest province in Turkey in terms of geographical surface area. It has an area larger than many countries, with a surface area of 38,873 square kilometers. In terms of population, it is the 7th most populous city in the country. It is one of Turkey's oldest continuously inhabited cities and was known as Iconium in Roman times. Konya, the place where the first known settlement, the first urbanization and the first animal domestication took place in the world, has been home to various civilizations since Çatalhöyük, one of the Neolithic sites on the UNESCO World Heritage List. As the capital of the Seljuk Turks from the 12th to the 13th centuries, it ranks as one of the great cultural centers of Turkey. During that period of cultural, political and religious growth, the mystic Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi founded a Sufi order known in the West as the Whirling Dervishes. One of the most economically developed cities in Turkey, Konya attracts visitors with its amazing kitchen, as well as its unique natural and historical richness. Etli ekmek, a pizza-like dish, is one of the most famous dishes of Turkish cuisine. Its homeland and the best place to taste it is Konya. Because its location on a flat plateau in the middle of the country, transportation to Konya is very easy from all parts of the country. It has airport and high-speed train transportation. Listen. Konya. Mevlevi Sema ceremony. Mevlevi Sema ceremony is a mystical ceremony with religious elements, themes and detailed rules. The Sema ceremony is performed with traditional Mevlevi music in places where the Mevlevi culture can be accurately conveyed. Mevlevi Sema ceremony is on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity since 2008. The Mevlevi culture is an ascetic Sufi order founded in 1273 in Konya, from where it gradually spread throughout the Ottoman Empire. Today, it can be found in many Turkish communities throughout the world, but the most active and famous center of the order's activity is in Konya. The Mevlevi culture is renowned for their whirling dervishes. Everything rotates in the universe. The Earth and the planets revolve around itself and around the Sun, like the electrons in the atoms, the rotation of blood in the body, the return of living things from the Earth to the Earth. For this reason, Mevlevi dervishes whirl with the love of God. At the Sema ceremony, following a recommended fast of several hours, with the Mevlevi music performed with the ney, reed flute, the Mevlevi dervishes in specific and traditional costume begin to rotate on their left feet in short twists, using the right foot to drive their bodies around the left foot. The body of the whirler is meant to be supple, with eyes open but unfocused so that images become blurred and flowing. Every year during the first half of December, Sabaya Ruz, wedding night, ceremony held in commemoration of Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi, with Mevlevi Sema ceremony creating a fascinating performance for the viewer. Konya Turkish folk music. Turkish folk music, in different dialects and forms in various regions of Turkey, are all sung local ethnic music. Turkish folk music is called Turku. Inner Anatolian music is performed with Turkish musical instruments, especially baglama, zurna and drum. Local folk music of Konya constitutes an important part of the Inner Anatolian music. Visitors to Konya have a unique time with its rhythm. Ten vibes for Konya. Like locals. Mevlana Museum. Neolithic site of Catalhoyuk. Aleddin Hill and Aleddin Mosque. Konya Numa Panorama Museum. Etli Ekmek. Seal. Mevlevi Sema ceremony. Meram Vineyards. Lake Basehir National Park. Meekan ACI Crater Lakes. 48 hours in Konya. Day 1. In the morning, sip Turkish tea at a very rich breakfast accompanied by the clean smell of steppe in Konya. Visit the Mevlana Museum and the Mevlevi Dervish Lodge. Then continue to lose yourself in the beauties of history. Visit Konya Panorama Museum, its Minaret Madrasa and Karate Madrasa. Eat Konya's famous Edli Ekmek at lunch. After lunch, visit the ruins of Aladdin Mosque and Seljuk Palace on Aladdin Hill. Visit the Konya Archaeological Museum and the Butterfly Garden. Go to the village of Seal, where Anatolian Orthodox once lived, and visit the Aya Eleni Church. Rest in Meram Vineyards. After eating fire and kebab for dinner, go to Mevlana Cultural Center and attend the Sema ceremony. Complete the day by finding peace with mystical music. Day 2. With the first light of the morning, go to Catalhoyuk Neolithic City and witness history thousands of years ago in this magnificent place. Go to Kalistra and breathe its air in this ancient historical place with its fairy chimney-like settlement. Then move to Bayshir district and discover the unique nature of Bayshir Lake and the historical beauties around it. Move to the center of the world, where the famous Turkish humorist Nasreddin Hoxha accepts as the center of the world, namely Aksahir. Visit Nasreddin Hoxha's tomb. Move to Golmes Park for Laugh, equipped with sculptures telling Nasreddin Hoxha's very funny anecdotes. Walk through the historical Aksahir houses and reach the historical Nasreddin Hoxha Archaeology and Ethnography Museum. At the end of the day, don't forget to buy souvenirs specific to the Mevlevi culture and Konya's delicious candies. Listen. Konya. Mevlevi Sema ceremony. Mevlevi Sema ceremony is a mystical ceremony with religious elements, themes and detailed rules. The Sema ceremony is performed with traditional Mevlevi music in places where the Mevlevi culture can be accurately conveyed. Mevlevi Sema ceremony is on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity since 2008. The Mevlevi culture is an ascetic Sufi order founded in 1273 in Konya, from where it gradually spread throughout the Ottoman Empire. Today, it can be found in many Turkish communities throughout the world, but the most active and famous center of the order's activity is in Konya. The Mevlevi culture is renowned for their whirling dervishes. Everything rotates in the universe. The Earth and the planets revolve around itself and around the Sun, like the electrons in the atoms, the rotation of blood in the body, the return of living things from the Earth to the Earth. For this reason, Mevlevi dervishes whirl with the love of God. At the Sema ceremony, following a recommended fast of several hours, with the Mevlevi music performed with the ney, reed flute, The Mevlevi dervishes in specific and traditional costume begin to rotate on their left feet in short twists, using the right foot to drive their bodies around the left foot. The body of the whirler is meant to be supple, with eyes open but unfocused so that images become blurred and flowing. Every year during the first half of December, Sabaya Ruz, wedding night, ceremony held in commemoration of Mevlana Celaleddin Rumi, with Mevlevi Sima ceremony creating a fascinating performance for the viewer. Konya Turkish folk music. Turkish folk music, in different dialects and forms in various regions of Turkey, are all sung local ethnic music. Turkish folk music is called Turku. Inner Anatolian music is performed with Turkish musical instruments, especially baglama, zurna, and drum. Local folk music of Konya constitutes an important part of the Inner Anatolian music. Visitors to Konya have a unique time with its rhythm. 10 vibes for Konya. Like locals. Mevlana Museum. Neolithic site of Cappadocia. Aleddin Hill and Aleddin Mosque. Konya'numa Panorama Museum. Edli Ekmek. Seal. Mevlevi Sima Ceremony. Meram Vineyards. Lake Bayshir National Park. Mekan ACI Crater Lakes. 48 hours in Konya. Day 1. In the morning, sip Turkish tea at a very rich breakfast accompanied by the clean smell of steppe in Konya. Visit the Mevlana Museum and the Mevlevi Dervish Lodge. Then continue to lose yourself in the beauties of history, visit Konya Panorama Museum, its Minaret Madrasa and Karate Madrasa. Eat Konya's famous Edli Ekmek at lunch. After lunch, visit the ruins of Aleddin Mosque and Seljuk Palace on Aleddin Hill. Visit the Konya Archaeological Museum and the Butterfly Garden. Go to the village of Seal, where Anatolian Orthodox once lived, and visit the Aya Eleni Church. Rest in Meram Vineyards. After eating firin kebab for dinner, go to Mevlana Cultural Center and attend the Sima ceremony. Complete the day by finding peace with mystical music. Day 2. With the first light of the morning, go to Cappadocia Neolithic City and witness history thousands of years ago in this magnificent place. Go to Kalistra and breathe its air in this ancient historical place with its fairy chimney-like settlement. Then move to Bayshir district and discover the unique nature of Bayshir Lake and the historical beauties around it. Move to the center of the world, where the famous Turkish humorist Nasreddin Hoxha accepts as the center of the world, namely Aksahir. Visit Nasreddin Hoxha's tomb. Move to Golmis Park, Park for Laugh, equipped with sculptures telling Nasreddin Hoxha's very funny anecdotes. Walk through the historical Aksahir houses and reach the historical Nasreddin Hoxha Archaeology and Ethnography Museum. At the end of the day, don't forget to buy souvenirs specific to the Mevlevi culture and Konya's delicious candies.
Mardin, a peerless and impressively beautiful city of the southeast expanding from the hilltop which it was established to the foothill, where religions, orders, and tradition blends with a rich history. It is understood from the excavations and the research that the city's history expands to the Subar tribe that lived in the Mesopotamia Valley c. 4.500 to 3.500 BCE. Merida is the first known given name of Mardin, which served as a sanjak of the province of Diyarbakir during the Ottoman Empire. The city's Syriac name was Mard, whereas Arabs and Turks called the city Mardin. Located on the historical Silk Road, Mardin hosts a large number of khans and caravanserai, in addition to mosques, shrines, churches, and monasteries which have existed for centuries and are of importance artistically as well as religiously, reflecting the characteristics of the era at Hay were built and adding on to the cultural richness of the area. Earning a lot of attention in the recent years not only locally but also globally, Mardin is listed in the UNESCO World Cultural Heritage as a historical site. If your path goes through Mardin, you will be in a fantastic city embracing different languages, different religions, smelling medieval history, dominant over the Mesopotamia Valley, offering tastes unique to itself. Abaras, one of the most unique architectural values of Mardin, are not only limited to the old city of Mardin, but also can be found throughout the province. These Undiyar palaces, called Abara, are located under some houses' old Mardin settlement and create surprising shortcuts for the transportation of the city. The place where Abaras are most frequently seen is Savarkapi neighborhood. In addition, it is possible to see Abaras in Tikar, Sihadai, Madriz, and Gul neighborhoods. Dara ancient city is located in Oguz village, 30 kilometers southeast of Mardin. Dara, one of the most important settlements of Upper Mesopotamia in history, was established as a military garrison city in 505 with the initiatives of Emperor Anastasius, 491–518, to protect the eastern border of the Eastern Roman Empire against the Sassanids. Upon the collapse of Roman Empire, the ancient city of Dara lost its importance and turned into ruins over the course of time. The ancient city of Dara, which consists of structures carved into the rock and spread over a wide area, was protected by a 4-kilometer wall. The inner castle was built on the north of the city and on the upper plain of a 50-meter high hill. The ruins of churches, palaces, bazaars, dungeons, armory and water dam can still be seen in the city. In addition, cave houses dating back to the late Roman period are found around the village. The giant cisterns and the common graves under protection are some of the must-see places in the ancient town. Virgin Mary Church and Patriarchate, built in 1860, the church has an acoustic sound system. In the church, the Patriarch's seat and preaching place are decorated with wooden handwork and display an elegant appearance. Hatunai Madrasa or City Radvai Madrasa was built between 1176 and 1184. The structure considered as one of the leading examples of madrasas with iwans in terms of its architecture. This structure, which covers a rectangular area, has 2 iwans, a cloister, and a courtyard, has undergone major changes over time. Its original state has deteriorated considerably, and it has lost its courtyard structure. A wall including the portico was built to the north of the south iwan with mihrab, which should be the main iwan of the madrasa today. The mihrab decorations in the main iwan demonstrates the skills of stonework of the Artukid period. In a showcase next to the mihrab, the footprints of Prophet Muhammad, peace be on him, can be seen. To the east of the iwan part, which has been converted into a mosque, there is a square mausoleum with a squinches and a dome. It is believed that Sidi Razi, the mother of Kutbetin il-Ghatsi of whom built the madrasa, was buried here. Chaldean Church, located in the city center, approximately 100 meters east of Sakalu Bey Kanagi, the Kaldani Church is property of the Chaldean Catholic community. It was completed between 397 to 430. It has a domed structure. There are 2 metropolitan tombs in the church. The death dates of 2 metropolits are written on the beautiful embroidery-decorated tombs. A divan room built in 1902 nearby the church draws attention with its beautifully embroidered fireplace with the Ottoman monogram on it. Kiziltepe Ulu Mosque, Kiziltepe Ulu Mosque, also known as Denazir Ulu Kamiai or Kokazir Ulu Kamiai, is a mosque located in Kiziltepe district of Mardin province in Turkey. It was started to be built by Yavlak Arslan, h. 1184–1200, one of the Artukids of Mardin, and upon his death, while the mosque was under construction, the construction was completed by his brother Abuel Feth Artuk Arslan. Mor Behnam, 40, Church, it was built in the 5th century. It is in the Sar district. The church draws attention with its 3 entrance doors, mihrabs with fine stone work, 400 years old wooden altar doors, 1,500-year-old root dye-printed curtains, a bell tower house in its wide courtyard and a sofa with examples of stone carvings that are almost like lace. In 1170, the bones of 40 martyrs were brought to this church. Today it is the Mardin Metropolitan Church. Mor Yakup Monastery. The monastery in the town center of Nuzibin was a Magi temple until the martyrdom of Mor Shabo and his 11 apostles. On the ruins of the temple Ms. It was built in memory of Mor Yakup after his death in 328. It has a tomb inside. Monks lived here until the 19th century.
Topkapi Palace. Following the conquest of Istanbul in 1453, the construction of the Topkapi Palace was started in 1460 at the request of Fatih Sultan Mehmet and was completed in 1478. Topkapi Palace, which was not built simultaneously with all the additional buildings, such as the case is with Dolmabahce Palace, was enlarged with the supplementary buildings added until the 19th century. Topkapi Palace is located in one of the oldest historical regions of Istanbul. Located on the historical Istanbul Peninsula between the Marmara Sea, the Bosphorus, and the Golden Horn, the palace is one of the iconic structures of Istanbul. Topkapi Palace, established on an area of 700,000 square meters on the eastern Roman Acropolis in Saraburnu, was the administrative, educational and artistic center of the empire for approximately 400 years from Fatih Sultan Mehmet to the 31st Sultan Abdülmecid, as well as housing the dynasty. Although Topkapi Palace was gradually abandoned by the mid-19th century when the dynasty slowly moved to Dolmabahce Palace, it preserved its historical importance and value. After the founding of the Republic of Turkey, Topkapi Palace was converted into a museum on April 3, 1924, having the distinction of being the first museum of the Republic. Today, Topkapi Palace is one of the largest palace museums in the world with its buildings, architecture, collections and approximately 300,000 archive documents. Upon entering the Sultanate Gate, the palace structures consist of 4 transitional courtyards and the surrounding architectural structures. Among the palace structures surrounded by gardens and squares are the first courtyard known as Alay Square, Hagia Irene Church, Royal Mint, Bakery, Hospital, Wood Warehouse, and Wickermaker's House. The second courtyard of the palace is Divan Square, notable for being where the state administration takes place, also called Justice Square. Divan-i Humayun, Kabulti, the scene of many ceremonies throughout history, was the official meeting place of the Divan Council, and the treasury is located right next to it. The Justice Tower is located behind the Divan structure, the entrance to the harem next to Kabulti, with the courtyard also housing the ward of the Züleyüflü Guards, the Trest Halberdiers, and the royal stables. The third courtyard of the palace is also called Enderun Courtyard. In this section houses the Sultan's audience hall, Enderun Treasure, the privy room, as well as structures such as the palace school established during the reign of Sultan Murat III. In the fourth courtyard, which is the last courtyard, there are pavilions and hanging gardens of the Sultan. In this section, there are the Baghdad and Revan pavilions and the Iftari gazebo, which are the most distinguished and aesthetically advanced examples of Ottoman classical mansion architecture. In the lower part of the fourth courtyard, Mesidi Pavilion and the Wardrobe Chamber are the last buildings of.
A place full of secrets, Topkapi Palace Harem Office. The harem department, which attracts attention as the secret-filled place of the Topkapi Palace Museum, which is visited with curiosity by local and foreign tourists visiting Istanbul, also operated as an educational institution. Historians have said that the harem was actually an educational institution, not a place of entertainment, contrary to popular belief. According to the information given by historians, harem, named with an Arabic word meaning untouchable, secrecy and privacy, was found not only in Islamic states and Ottomans, but also in Assyrian and Byzantine palaces. The Sultan's family, consisting of his mother, sisters and wives, lived in the harem, which was created as a requirement of the family life of the Sultan, which was carefully protected apart from the places related to the state administration. During the reign of Mehmet the Conqueror, when the Topkapi Palace was completed in 1478, a small harem called Harem-i Dudaran was created here. For a certain period of time, the sultans stayed with their families in the old palace in Bayezid, but they came to Topkapi Palace to discuss administrative matters. Although it is stated in some sources that Suleiman the Magnificent used this palace from time to time with his wives Gulfem Hatun and Hurrem Sultan, the actual harem settlement was during the reign of Murad III's mother, Nurbanu Hatun. After that, 14 Valide sultans lived in the Topkapi Palace harem for 234 years. Hundreds of maidservants of the Valide Sultan, each with different duties, also lived in the harem. The number of women living in the harem changed from time to time. During the reign of Selim II, the number of harem residents in the old palace and the number of people living in the harem would have reached up to 1,200. The harem, which includes about 400 large and small rooms, expanded with the addition of new sections from the hill where the palace was located, towards the Saraburna coast, from the 16th century to the end of the 19th century, according to the wishes of the Sultan and his mothers. For the harem, which is a top-secret place, historian Tursun Bey said, if the son were male, as it takes in Persian, even he would not be allowed to enter. Education from sewing to music. In the Ottoman period, women learned how to behave, especially in music, in the harem, which was the equivalent of the internal organization in the palace and the university-level high school Enderun here. The women, under the supervision of the chief steward, learned to sew and play Turkish musical instruments. In fact, Leyla Saz and Dilhayat Kalfa, two of the most important Turkish music composers, had left the harem. According to the information given by Semilai, the harem was an educational institution contrary to popular belief. Women living in the harem used to come here at very young ages. The girls who came here, especially in Crimea, Russia and Circassia, were educated in the palace, and after 9 years of service, they could leave the palace with the freedom documents called idikname and a beautiful dowry. Few of them were able to earn the title of wife of the Sultan. As a matter of fact, most of them could not see the Sultan due to their family life, and some of them were working in various services as servants. When they first came to the palace, they were given different names. They were taught the rules of living in the Islamic tradition, and they were given beautiful names such as Senaz, Gulnaz, Nazgul and Sminar according to their personality and grace. The name of Naksadil Sultan, which draws attention among them, means the ornament of hearts. Those who were not the Sultan's favorite, if they wanted to get married, were to be married to the appropriate people in the palace. They were given a salary of 9 to 30 aki every month. There are also mosques in the harem, which consists of spaces with different functions. Harem residents used to perform their prayers here. The large gardens in the harem attract attention. Some women were engaged in embroidery here. Among these was the tradition of drinking hookah coffee. During the reign of Selim III, women had a more comfortable life and were able to shop. For example, it is known that they were able to bring clothes from outside the palace for the Hidrolez Day, when white clothes were worn. Citizens whispering on the walls. The girls in the harem were famous for their tight-spokenness and not revealing any information about life in the harem. However, some inscriptions on the walls of the harem draw attention as the contention in the harem and sometimes the desperation caused by being wronged into writing. The following statements stand out in two inscriptions on the wall of a room in the basement, below the mother's apartments in the harem. 2-penny mirror disappeared / the person sitting in it was hired by a thief, the people of this century, and born burned Dilfarib ala Garab aman aman. It is understood from the article that one of the concubines was accused of stealing something by the other harem residents, and the other was unfairly slandered. It is understood from these writings that the concubines could read and write. The secret doors of the harem. The biggest hall of the harem was the Sultan's sofa, where all the ceremonies such as feasts were held. In these ceremonies, the residents of the harem would come together. In the hall, the Sultan sat on one side and the Valide Sultan on the other, accepting the holiday greetings. The 5 doors of the hall were for different people to enter. One of the doors was reserved for the Sultan, one for the Valide Sultan, one for the favorite, and one for the Hasiki, who gave the first son to the Sultan, and the other belonged to the residents of the palace. Women used to perform music on the balcony located just above the hall. The stairs to this balcony are located behind a mirror in the main hall. The mirror opens like a door to the stairs. The reason for the use of the hidden door is that the architectural aesthetics of the hall are not spoiled. In addition, the baths of the harem give information about the water and sewage drainage system of the Ottoman Empire in the 16th century. While there was not even a sewer system in the palaces built by Western civilizations in the following centuries, the hot water passing through the walls in these baths was built to provide both heating and evacuation of the water. Selim's mesk room was viewed for the first time. The musician and poet Sultan Selim III, known for his reforms, had a special room built in the harem for his mother Marisa Sultan. Decorated by foreign artists in the style of Turkish Rococo, this room and composer Sultan Selim III's mesk room were displayed for the first time. In Marisa Sultan's room, which has very thin and curved walls and wooden joinery, the wall paintings made by Western painters also reflect the views from the Bosphorus of the period. Just a few steps up from this room, there is the mesk room where the oud and ney master composer Sultan Selim III performed his musical studies. In this hall, architectural embroidery in the magnificent Turkish Rococo style stands out.